My name is Tyrone and I am the CEO and founder of OneApp. I play a small part in the ecosystem trying to end homelessness in Oregon. And the reason I got involved in this space is for my own personal story. I went to school to be a fireman. I got my EMT, my paramedic. I graduated 4th out of 72 in my class, so I was at the very top. 6 weeks into the academy, I injured myself really badly, ended up being hospitalized on and off for about 9 months. That process caused me to lose most of the things I earned over that time from my household, like friends and family, because people supported me for so long during that time of not being able to physically work. Especially when I got out of the hospital, I accumulated a lot of debt, a lot of student loans. I wasn't able to make good on my contracts, like my rental agreements, and it caused me to have bad credit and bad rental history. And at the end of the day, I found myself being homeless from that. When you go through this phase, you find your footprint in other people's lives is just taking. Like that's all you're doing is taking. And so you do everything you can to take as little as you can and be invisible as you can. I remember showing up to my buddy's house at 10 o'clock at night and trying to be gone by 6 a.m. in the morning. Then I got there one night after taking the max and walking, because I had no money, with crutches, 30 minutes to his house. And I get there and it's after 10 and I'm just gonna go sleep on the couch, clean up my mess behind me and leave in the morning. And I got there and he told me I couldn't stay. He was like, my wife is having a hard time with this. It was only supposed to be for this short amount of time. It's gone on for this long. And I was like, okay, tonight will be my last night. And he's like, actually, I gotta leave for work tonight and I won't be back. And she doesn't want to have this conversation with in the morning. And I'm like, we had it tonight. We don't have to have it in the morning. I'll be gone. And it didn't, he had to do his job as a husband. And he was like, you can't stay tonight. But they made me dinner. They gave me a plate. I had my bags of my stuff that I was trying to walk back to the max. I had my food. I remember being so sweaty and I pulled over, I just stopped and I ate my food real quick and I threw it away because it was hard to carry. And I got to the max station and I had lost so much blood. I had internal bleeding from my injury. And I remember laying on the ground and putting my foot on the park bench, being like, I gotta elevate my leg because it is like, before I like pass out. And I put my leg on the bench and I lay back. As soon as I lay flat on my back, everything I ate, I just threw up everything. The police came and I remember he just grabbed me up to my feet and was like, you gotta get out of here. And he saw I had thrown up and I think he came to his own conclusions about like, why I'm either drunk or I fell off the bench maybe from being drunk and I threw up on the ground. Whatever the visual, he came to his own conclusion. But then we spoke for a minute and then he came to a completely different understanding. And he was like, I'll take you where you need to go. Where you want me to take you? And I was like, it was the first time ever. There was no places. There was no names. There was nowhere. And I was like, there was nowhere for you to drop me off at. And that is when he took me to the Y. And that was one of the hardest nights because the whole time you're like, I'm just gonna bounce out of this real quick. Like it'll be over soon. And then that was the first time that I'm like there's no way out of this. There's no way for me to get, back on my feet. And that homeless experience was tough, but it opened my eyes to what homelessness consists of. In my mind, everybody who was homeless was lazy, didn't want to work. They either chose to be on drugs or it was just this like self-imposed issue that they did to themselves. And then I found myself homeless, but I was in a shelter full of people who had their own stories. It really opened my eyes to what reality was. And it are people who just fell on hard times and this is just a phase or a transition. But what is broken is the inability to get back into the system once you get down there. And the system is designed to prevent that from happening. And that is what we gotta overcome. I mean, the fact that if you have an eviction in the state of Oregon, you qualify for less than 1% of housing if you've been evicted in the last 12 months. It means that if you do fall in those hard times, there's no way back. And it's not something that we can just put on government to solve. Like we, the community of Portland, can come together and address this. The level of dependence on government, I think, has led to this spiral out of homelessness, especially in Oregon. We just need more tax dollars and then we can address it and put more money behind the problem. But the truth is you can't solve homelessness like that. You can't buy your way out of something like that. It takes community, it takes society to all participate because then it doesn't require taxpayers. It's somebody has created a system that is self-sustaining that addresses an aspect. And OneApp is one of those companies. So if we say, hey, this person's home ready, and they turn out to not be home ready, which happens. Like, these are humans we're dealing with, and that's okay. But our housing providers do not take losses from that. And so that is where OneApp comes in, and we bridge that gap saying, yep, we believe they're home ready, let's get them into housing. And if they fail for whatever reason, there is no financial risk to the housing provider. So we need them to participate, but they won't if it costs them their own livelihood. So that's where we play our part. I love partnering with programs who are like, we will take the people who are not home ready today, and we will work with them and provide them with the tools and the skills and the resources and the relationship and the confidence. And that's what I love about, like, because we won't treat them as like number 4026 in the system. Like, what's your name? What's your story? And how will we go about helping bridge the gap between you and your own like deal versus trying to put you through some cookie cut process? And I think personally, I think that people are gonna have the most success that way.